This is the Gift of Gab podcast. I'm your host, Gabrielle, connecting you to the highest and flyest in the Mile High City. Follow me on all major platforms at the Gift of Gab 555. This episode is sponsored by the Ever Collection by K. Michael. Visit evercollection.nyc to get a pair of the flyest eyewear in the game. Tag me on social media in your eyewear for a shout out on the podcast. We hope that you enjoy the show. Today, I've got my very special, beautiful guest, Miss Dante with Karmic Wares. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Gabby. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here in your crystal
Wonderland.
sanctuary. Wonderland's a good word for it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So tell me a little bit more about you, who you are, where you're from.
I'm born and raised here in Colorado, and I love the outdoors. I love hiking and snowboarding and camping, and yoga as well is a great pastime. And of course, I love crystals, and it's one of the most beautiful parts of Mother Nature, I believe. And I feel blessed to share the beauty of Mother Nature with everyone I encounter on this journey.
I love that. Have you always been like a crystal? Like, did you collect rocks when you were a kid?
Pretty much.
Pretty much,
Pretty much, yeah.
I love watching. I have a 7-year-old little sister, and her rock and crystal collection in my dad's backyard, because he lives in this mountain, like, wonderland, I should say, and it's bigger than mine, and I'm like, oh yes,
that's so cute.
That's awesome. So how long have you been, like, how did you know that you wanted to take like just your passion for crystals and kind of the outdoor and make it into a business?
Yeah, great question. I think it goes back to me making jewelry when I was younger. I think when I was around 10, I started like visiting bead shops and seeing all the cool things to make jewelry with. And a lot of my favorite things were crystals, gemstones. And so that's definitely where I started really like thinking about selling bracelets at school. And so I was doing that around age 12. And yeah, I always wanted to be an artist that could offer my creativity to the world. And I felt like I was looking for a niche to offer what I do. And so through crystals, yeah, I was able to have that platform and that space where people can appreciate the work that I make with the crystals. So it's definitely evolved over the years. Like, it's come back full circle where I took time away from jewelry making, but that's definitely where it began.
Jewelry making, that's awesome. What I used to make hemp jewelry.
Ooh.
But you said it started with kind of beading and...
Yes, I love beadwork and also some metal smithing I did in high school, and I miss that. I need to get back to it.
Yeah, I love crafting. I like just creating something and giving it to other people. Like, there's been times where it's a little bit ghetto, like what I make. I'm like, here you go. But most of the time, it's different. Like, you feel excited giving it to somebody, and your energy is like held in it, and they get to experience it all the time. That's why I love crystals, because for me, like, I have a little bag of crystals that I keep in my purse, and I give them out to little kids that are like swarming around me.
Aww.
And some of them are not that into it, but most of the time I'm like, this little kid's gonna remember me forever, just off this one little conversation. And it's just something that it holds positive energy. I mean, things can hold negative energy too, but for me, I'm just like a nature girl too. So I'm like, well, look how pretty they are. It's like meshing. I think it's prettier than whatever else you can compare it to. I mean, diamonds are gemstones too,
That's true.
but
Yeah.
an amethyst like that, there's nothing prettier. Like if I could just have my whole like house just
made of amethyst.
oh my gosh, I would die.
What a dream.
I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm never leaving.
Literally, yes.
What is your favorite crystal?
It's amethyst.
I figured looking around, I was like, I have a hard time because like I am naturally drawn to amethyst just because it's purple and I love it. But tiger's eye makes me just feel really good. So I like really love tiger's eye. And then I really love opal too.
Yes.
I like that like rainbow, the white that encompasses like all colors kind of.
Right.
I think that that's kind of what it represents.
That's beautiful. It's like the nothingness that becomes the everything.
Yes, that's a great way to describe it.
Opal is my birthstone too.
Oh, how exciting.
I love opal.
Oh, because you're the end of October, so you're a Scorpio.
That's
yeah.
Right. Yes.
That might be why we get along. I'm a Taurus, and I've always just been very, Scorpios are always my friends.
We do get along.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's so crazy. Like sometimes I'm not very good at retelling people things that like come to me, like the downloads that I get about the stars or like your signs or things like that, but I'm so into it. I'm like, when I read the stuff, I'm like, wow, this is like describing me to a T. And then when I learned taking it a little bit further and diving into my chart and finding out like my moon and my rising, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense because I'm a Sagittarius rising and it just so much about my personality really is that, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't care what you think. This is real. It's so crazy to me, like how people just have, I don't know, some people act like crystals are like satanic. Like they're like, I'm just like, what? It's a rock from outside. Like, but I don't know where that comes from.
And I can kind of understand, like, because crystals are a tool and people can use tools for good and for bad, but the crystal itself isn't inherently evil. Of course not. It's made by the same, universal source and creator that designed us.
Yes.
And there's infinite more crystals being made as we speak right now. And I don't think that the earth created such beauty for it to be locked away underground for all of eternity.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's meant to be shared and appreciated.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like look at all the colors and things that like that's inside of a rock. Like usually on the outside it just looks like a regular rock.
Yes.
That's one thing I love about Colorado is you can really find gemstones out and about and you don't even know you're stumbling upon them, and then you're like,
there's so much. Yeah. So much wisdom and beauty in the mountains.
Yes. So you said you were from Colorado. I want to know what's your favorite thing about being from Colorado?
Ooh, good
start
question.
Start with the good.
Ooh, yeah. Oh man, Colorado itself, how it's just overall elevated in altitude and the geographical makeup of the land itself, I feel like all comes together to create a very high vibrational area.
Yeah.
Like the people all seem to be like, I'm sure it helps that there's beautiful nature outside to get healthy in hiking, but we're all very health conscious, all very like, I don't know.
So my little cousin, one of my aunts, she just recently moved to Florida and she took my little cousin to Cocoa Beach, and
I've been there before.
You can tell that my little cousin's from Colorado because she kept saying, is this Cacao Beach? Is this Cacao Beach? I'm like, oh, so you're cute. Definitely from Colorado. But I just feel like people that are from here there's something about the mountains or the altitude or the environment, like you said, that just kind of keeps you stuck here. Like, I want to experience somewhere else so bad, but I know that once I do that in my life, I'm still gonna miss it here a lot if I do. And I'm still gonna be like, oh my gosh, but the sun sets and like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So for me, I'm like so like happy that this is where I'm from, because all the things that I don't love about here, if I wasn't from here, I probably wouldn't want to put up with it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like all the potholes and my windshield getting cracked by just a rock. Like, was just
Yes.
driving. Like, how rude.
I'm just going to work.
How freaking rude. And just like the people, it's not like everybody in general. I feel like when you have a population grow, that causes a lot of it, but it just
Yeah.
feels so, the energy, like I live in Denver now, so like the
Yeah.
energy there is just so
Chaotic.
it's so heavy and it's so hard. Like I
Yeah.
do a lot to try to help community, and I do a lot to try to get to understand the people and their issues behind the homelessness, but it doesn't make it any easier to see your home state looking like that, and the fact that so many people are struggling, you know, and it's just,
Yes.
the gap is just getting bigger and bigger, I feel like, here in Colorado as we grow. I'm like, oh, where can we live? Like alt Colorado? Like where can we go that it's not like
I know
out of control?
Mm-hmm.
I was recently looking at like 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, and I was like, wow, like it's only been a year and inflation is real.
Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah, so definitely the environment. Where's your favorite like mountain spot? Which area is your favorite?
Ooh, I really love the hot springs.
Which
yes,
one?
my favorite one is Strawberry Park.
I have not been there, and I don't know how. I am always,
girl.
I have to go. My parents, or my grandma used to live there, but now my dad lives there, and it's called Ouray, Colorado. And
I love that. Mm-hmm.
I'm just so biased, and everybody always tells me
it's so gorgeous.
They have a little all nude hot spring there. It's called Orvis.
Really?
And I've never been there because for me, like my whole my family's been there since I was like 5 years old. So for me, I'm like, isn't this weird? But my little sister told me, I went to Orvis and I didn't even wear clothes. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But the Ouray hot springs are just, it's so breathtaking. Like when it's snowing outside and it's snow capped on the mountains, and you're sitting in a swimming suit, just like
chilling.
Oh, and my dad, he's got a hot tub on his back porch, and there's no street lights. There's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
He's at the top of the hill, and I'm just like, I see why he loves it there, even though.
Yeah, it's in Ouray?
Yeah. Well, he lives in Ridgeway. It's like 10 minutes outside of.
Okay.
That's where those little nude hot springs are at. I'm like, maybe if you guys were in my little family hometown, I would check it out. But I keep hearing about the strawberry ones, and for me, I'm just like, oh, why haven't I gone there? It's called Strawberry. It sounds like
so cute and so just like in the nature, just built into the forest. And
I love that. I recently went to Crestone, and
I love Crestone. I love Crestone.
I couldn't believe I've never been there, and I could tell it was just because of my bias, because I just always drive right to Ouray, and that I know people there, so I just go. And I was like on the little creek. The person, I did like a body talk like training. It was fascinating. Ooh. Like when I did the personal training classes or whatever, I was so bored of learning about like this muscle is opposite of this muscle, and like anatomy was so boring. But this body talk, I believe in it because like my aunts do it. So I've had experience since I was really young with my aunt being like, come over here real quick. Like when I said I had a headache, and she's like tapping on me and like saying, oh, did this happen? And I'm always like, how did you know? Like, I didn't say anything. But what I really learned is it's your body's innate like wisdom speaking to the other person's body's innate wisdom. And our bodies actually, it's not the person that is like the practitioner that's healing your body. The practitioner is reminding your body how to heal itself. And so I left this class, and the other people in there have more body work experience than me, but I'm very like intuitive, and I just believe in it, and they called it like beginners something. But I left, and ever since then I'm like fascinated with the human body. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, we
Wow.
can get rid of this. Because I heard a story about how this woman, she found this cancerous something behind her breast, and she was gonna have them removed, and she wanted to go get a session done before she went. Now when they find something, they don't go back and verify that it's there before they do surgery. So she went in to have the surgery. They go in, and the mass was gone. The mass was gone from the body talk session, from tapping it out.
What?
Like, and I 100%, like, I don't want to be like Bob Marley and die because I won't go to the doctor because I have an active infection. No.
Wow.
But if there is any way or any person that can show me a holistic way to get rid of something, I'm definitely going to try that first before like Western medicine, because it works. Like, when I started learning about Reiki, first I was like, what is this? What is this? I don't know how to describe it to people. And now I'm like, you just gotta sit down and feel it. That's kind of how I describe it now. Like, but it was in Crestone, and she lived on the creek, and there was like what do they call it? A Sherpa? Is that what the Buddhist temples
I know what you're talking about. A stupa.
Stupa, yes.
I've been to the stupas there.
They kept saying there's a stupa up there, and I was like, you're saying that like I know what that is, but I don't. And then I got up there, and I just was like, oh my gosh. And then it just looked over it was so beautiful and just so calm. Like, it made me realize, as much as I like having the availability of being able to go like make money and do pop-ups and do all the things that I do in 15 minutes, for me, that was a reminder that someday soon I would love to be somewhere that's just not so fast. Like, people aren't always just on the go and speeding around and upset and going to the store like 10 times a week just because it's there. Like, I want to live a more simple lifestyle after going to Crestone. Like,
me too. I've literally looked into buying land down there.
It was
right
so
near
amazing.
It's
it was so amazing. I just couldn't
near
believe
the
it.
Sand dunes,
yes,
and all that vibes that come with it.
I went to the hot springs, and I can't lie, even though it was really nice.
Was it a joyful journey?
I think so.
Joyful. I've been.
Yeah, I think so. And it was very cool because it was nighttime and the moon was out, so it felt great. The hot springs felt great. I felt great, but I just was thinking the whole time, this view is nothing like the view at the hot springs in Ouray. Like, you can't beat that view that they have there with the whole mountains and the waterfalls. And
that's true.
But Crestone is definitely nicer. Like, just being out there was definitely nicer than being. Ouray's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's just very set up for tourists. Like, they call it the Switzerland of the
that's true.
North America or whatever.
Yeah, and it gets so busy there in the summer when...
Yes, my stepmom works at a brewery out there, so during the winter time it's super slow, but in the summertime you can't even catch her. Yeah, you can't. Oh my gosh, I got kicked out of a karaoke bar night there. It was so funny because I actually had started this podcast, and me and this girl went out there to make an episode about Ouray. And it was the full moon, so I had all my like siblings outside, like putting stuff into the fire and howling at the moon before we were gonna go do karaoke.
Cool.
One of my sisters was under 21, and I just figure it's a little town, and they weren't saying anything, so we bring her in, and that's where it started. And the guy was just so grouchy. He's like the owner and the bartender, and it just... I realized that I had already met him several years before at his bar when I came for my sister's 21st birthday, and they just didn't love that I took over the jukebox and we were dressed like we came from Denver, not like the
Oh,
tourists. We were playing, oh my gosh, it
yeah.
was funny. But this karaoke night, I just couldn't believe it because I waited so long to sing karaoke.
Oh,
My little sister's drinking Long Island, so I'm just trying to be cool and keep up with her. I'm not acting, I'm being myself. I'm loud. I'm here or
yeah.
whatever. But then it comes my turn and I sing Life's Been Good by Joe Walsh, and that's like a 9-minute song. He's like,
Ah,
and only I would go up on a stage where people clearly were not digging my vibe and do a nine
oh,
minute karaoke set and had a great time. And then it got over and we go up to the bar. Some guy's like, let me buy you a drink. So I was like, cool, cool. And the guy's like,
yeah,
you're cut off. And I told him, what? Like, I didn't stumble. I'm not
yeah.
doing anything. He's like, I saw how many drinks you had. So whatever. I start getting my stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my stepmom's house is right around the corner, but my
Mm-hmm.
car was there because it was like 14 degrees. And I go outside and I'm like trying to like flip him off over like the little window that's up here so he can see me. And I'm going like this, and out comes my stepmom. She's like, stop it right now. Because she works right next door at the brewery. She's like, I did the same thing out here on the sidewalk when they told me I couldn't drink at work anymore. And I was like, it's your fault they're kicking me out. It's you. She was like, no, it's not. And I was like, it has to be. And now in hindsight, I'm like, when you go into a small town like that, just be chill, I guess. I walk in there like I own them. I'm like,
I
my dad
feel
owns that
that.
house at the top of the hill over there. And like,
That's
you
funny.
know us. My grandma used to own, I never knew what to call it, but I guess it was called a metaphysical shop. Like that's what it was back when I was a little kid. And I used to be
Oh,
so
wow.
upset because she would upcharge, it's Ure. So the amethysts were like $60 for a
Mm.
crystal, and she like, I always was like, Mom or Dad, I really want those. Why are they so expensive? And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, they just upcharge in areas where they can. That's how economy works. It's not like cheaper because it's cheap. They charge you by what people will pay for it,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So now that we got into all those Colorado stories, what's your least favorite thing about Colorado?
Hmm. Oh man. That's ooh. Okay, so I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with the cold.
Yes.
Like I absolutely adore snowboarding and I think snow is so pretty. But did I tell you I have a cold allergy?
Yeah, I now I'm remembering you said that, and I had never heard of that before. But
Yeah. It's
being from Colorado and being allergic to the cold, it's kind of like my grandma. She's allergic to the sun, and I just feel like that would be so terrible. I love the
right.
sun.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's definitely inconvenient.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've, learned ways to adjust and adapt to my
Hmm.
condition. Um, but yeah, I have anaphylactic cold urticaria.
Say that 10 times
yeah,
fast.
yeah, it's definitely a mouthful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wear extra layers and bundle up.
Okay.
And I have to be careful about what swimming pools that I jump into in the summertime. So I guess that's not even like a least favorite thing about Colorado as much as just
Just a pain
me,
point.
because yeah, I'm gonna get cold anywhere I go.
Yeah, for me, I think my least favorite thing is just not the people. Some of the people are great, but
Hmm.
just the chaos of the growth that we have here. Like for me,
Mm.
10 years ago, or I guess it's been over 10 years now since we legalized cannabis or whatever. And it was so much fun being like
Mhm.
buying a sack of weed before. It was so much fun. Like it smelled good.
Mm.
It was great. Now, like I went and bought, I was doing this Halloween party and I was like, running low on time, so I did an online order from the dispensary. And
Ah.
I swear it wasn't shake, it was trim. And there's nothing you can do about it.
That's
It was
horrible.
terrible. Like, it's still sitting
Yes.
at my house because I couldn't even really, like, try to give it away to people. Like, I just couldn't even. And I'm like, oh, like, that's my least favorite part. I don't know even what the word is for it, but just the way that the people
Mm-hmm.
coming here and just the way that it's changed so much. It just doesn't feel the same. I'm always jealous of my
Yeah.
dad that was like in the 90s, just in his prime here in Colorado, when you could have a whole house for like $800 a month and enjoy, actually be able to go camping. Like my
That's
hometown,
right.
Fort Collins,
Yes.
they have this like reservoir. It's called Horsetooth Reservoir,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to book a year or two in advance to go camping there now.
Are you
Who
serious?
knows that they're going to go on a camping trip in 2 years from now? Like,
That is
I know. Or
insane.
like the places like behind Boulder where you have to pay to park now, and you're just like, I
Yeah,
have to
dude.
pay to look at the mountains, but how else are they supposed to deal with the all
Mm-hmm.
these people that just like flick their cigarette butts and their trash everywhere? It drives me so crazy. Like, I'm one of those.
Yeah.
I pick up trash just because it's on the ground. Why do people do that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, why are we littering in this beautiful, beautiful place?
I'm with you. I'll
Yeah.
be picking up trash too sometimes, walking my dog. I'm like, do better, guys.
Yes,
Let's do
yes. I
better.
always look around like, you see me. If this was your trash, I hope you feel this. Because you're the asshole, not me.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, so we got a little bit off track about the crystals. I forgot what I wanted to ask you. Oh, I wanted to ask you like how you use crystals like in your daily life, in your
Mm.
practices, like what kind of practices you have around crystals.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Circling back to the jewelry, I think that's one of the easiest ways for me to incorporate crystals into my daily life. So definitely every day I'm wearing crystal bracelets. If I'm feeling fancy, I'll do a necklace and earrings too, or like even a crystal crown if it's a real, fun time. But yeah, besides just wearing them on my person, I'll occasionally pick out like a pocket rock to take with me, and then like every now and then when I'm feeling really off center or just in need of a nice meditation, I will do a crystal grid that I lay down on my body.
Mm.
And so yeah, I'll just be like laying down in bed or on a yoga mat, and I'll place crystals at various points, and I'll intuitively place them on me. And yeah, I've had some really powerful experiences doing that. Um, but it's definitely a little time consuming, and so I save it for special occasions, and I love offering that as a service to my loved ones as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about how to place crystals or what to do. I just do stuff that and hope it makes me feel better. And it usually does. Like, it's that intuition that you have. But for me, I'm always fascinated at how, like, selenite, for example, putting that in a room, just how much it calms my energy down and makes me feel safe. And it's
Yeah.
unexplainable how that works, but I just bought like a big one, and
Ooh.
I just couldn't believe it. We sell them at the spa that I work at, and when I saw their price, how could I not? I was like, I thought this would be more expensive. She has one
Yay.
that's like this big in there, and I
Ooh.
just stare at it sometimes. It's so
Oh.
pretty. But for me, I just love the just the aura that it brings around you. Like, for me,
Yeah.
I used to wear a lot more like fine jewelry with gemstones and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
but now kids across the room, animals, people, they just feel my vibration more. Like, it's given how I want it to be given when I'm wearing crystals. Like, to me, they just make me feel in my power. And I don't know why. I pick them out to match. I like to match. I like to be color coordinated.
Sure.
Or like I read a little meme and it's like, whatever that orange one is will help with this. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to wear the orange ones today, you know? That's one reason I was so, just so drawn to Medicine Mama Kia, because she has these different jewelries and these different things, but she tells you like what they're helping with. When I wear those fruit earrings, nobody, like every single person that sees me has to talk to me. Who are you? I'm like, wow, this really works. Like this orange on my ear.
I need to get some of those when I see her this weekend, maybe.
Yes, they're so great. I have the dragon fruit ones, I have the orange ones, and then she made these little honey pot ones that I have too. And they're like, sometimes I'm afraid it's gonna like pop open and get honey all over my hair, but it hasn't yet. But it's real honey in a little jar, and for me, I'm just like, this is the honey pot over here.
I love all her stuff. I want the dragon fruit earrings though.
I sat there for probably like 20 minutes trying to pick out the perfect pair, and they're big. Like they're like this. Right. And people just, oh my gosh, is that fruit on your ear? Yeah. I'm always like, my friend made them too. It's always cool when you like know the person making it. For me, I'm like, I just love the creativity that I'm finding in my circle these days. I'm like, we are all able to just like collaborate and create such beautiful things. And I'm always trying to awaken that in people, because we all have gifts, we all have talents, we all have things, but most people are caught up in this whole like 9 to 5 or this, you have to live this way and do this, and they lose sight of that creative side of them. Like when I started doing pop-ups for the podcast, I didn't have anything tangible to sell, and having to pay to do a lot of them was like, what do I do here? So I started making hoodies and those little boxes. Jewelry, I can make jewelry, but I honestly don't love to make jewelry for people to sell it, only because of not the competition in a bad way, but other people are just making much better jewelry than me. I'm making jewelry for like little kids, you know what I'm saying? I don't make that high class like jewelry that the wraps and all that. I don't know how to do that. But like hoodies and art, those kind of things I'm really good at. Like I had no idea that I had such an eye for hoodies, but I'm like, I'm pretty good at this. But I'm always trying to awaken that in other people, because it's so amazing what we can create. Oh,
yes.
I got a little distracted. You got my little friend over here. He's like winking at me.
That reminded me what you said of this quote that goes, you know, everyone is gifted, but not everyone opens their present.
Yes.
Not everyone opens that gift.
That's so true. Like for me, I call it getting out of the matrix. But it's not just about giving up these mainstream societal issues. It's about getting out of the programming that is so deep embedded into society. People don't...
I love that.
They don't everybody always tells me like I'm some conspiracy theorist or something. Why would they do that? And the answer is always the same. Money.
I know,
money.
Huh?
Duh. Like money. Do you see what some of us like? What's the craziest thing you've done for money? You've done something like that you aren't proud of to make $1 before. You know what I'm saying? And so people are like, why would they do that? Look at the way that we consume. Like, I'm not gonna say we, because I'm getting. I just like don't. I can't even watch TV the same anymore. I can't. I see this stuff, and I'm like, if it's not adding value to my life, educating me
too.
Or super, like, I love the Power series. I love it because they're super, it's action, like,
sure.
I'm like, okay, cool. This is all right. I like to watch that. But I just can't watch it anymore. I see all the little subliminal things that they're putting out there.
It's programming.
And it so is. And then what do? You go out and buy more things, or you do this. Like, so many people, like, I like nice things. I like to feel like stable and comfortable, yes. But for me, I when somebody talks about like what they can bring to me in sources of like money, I'm like, cool. Like, don't you realize it's fake? Like, I know it's not fake, but it really is. Like, they just
Mm-hmm.
print new money. They just print it. The
Mm-hmm.
credit cards, what do they have now? Bitcoin, all these things. Like, people are always trying to
Mm-hmm.
get me to invest into it, and I'm like, I see you trying to sell me over there, but I'm not gonna like take my real money and buy fake
Right.
money. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Sorry.
Yes, all the extra layers
Even like,
to the trickery, like
I know it's so crazy, down to like people
yeah.
thinking that they have all these diseases and things wrong with them. Like, I
Right.
noticed I have a lot of siblings. So for me, we have the same geographic. We have at least one parent in common. We have similar upbringings and lifestyles. And when I used to subscribe, I felt sick. I felt like I had headaches. I felt like I had allergies and all these problems. And now that I don't subscribe, but I also don't like buy those like name brand things that have all that
That's right.
the stuff that they some like
The additives.
dish soap doesn't even put like Dawn dish soap doesn't even put the ingredients on the bottle. That's how
Right.
bad they are for you. Like, it's not
Right.
even on the bottle somehow.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, well, it's approved by this or that. Look who owns that. Look who owns that. It's the same as who
Yeah.
owns this. So for me, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so crazy that I didn't even smoke before this show, and I still keep losing my train of thought. It's all these pretty things in here.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
good
like,
thing
oh
we
my
waited
gosh.
to smoke.
It's a really good thing because I've lost my train of thought. Like, it's wiped out like 3 times. I'm like, where are you going with this? Like, you're recording.
Oh my God, I love it.
That's part of the fun of it. I think that's why I wanted to start a podcast so bad, because I thought, like, I went and got my degree or whatever. It's in communication.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, I want to be on the radio,
Hmm.
music, this and that. I don't listen to the radio. So
Hmm.
why, especially here in Denver, why would I want to be on the radio when I don't even listen to the radio? That's so unaligned with who I am.
That is a really good point.
So
I
I was
really
like,
like that.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm not gonna.
I can get behind that for sure.
People always ask me if I'm a salesperson, and clearly, like, I can sell I can sell you something. But for me, if I don't believe in it, it shows. I just can't.
Yes.
The more I grow up and the more of these like daily, like, just the more I work through my own trauma, and I just work on being closer to like source, my creator, all these things, I just can't do things that aren't aligned with me anymore. I try, and I'm just like, you can see it on my face, huh? You know I'm not into this, huh? You're right. I wouldn't buy this either. Thanks for your time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
I just can't do it.
It'd be like that sometimes.
So what I will say is, it sounds like you kind of got into, a lot of times I want to know how people got from being inside this matrix that we've been talking about, inside of this 9 to 5 lifestyle, and started a business. But it sounds like you kind of have always had that mindset about you. But what kind of advice would you give to somebody? Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. Only like being the one responsible for everything is not easy.
Yes.
Like, what advice would you give to other people that maybe are on this journey already or want to be on this journey?
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of like we were talking about consumption and what we're listening to and watching. I think it's important to be mindful of the influences around you and making sure that they're feeling positive about your dreams. And if they're not, then don't tell them about your dreams.
Yes.
Like for me, I definitely kept my shop under wraps and very low key while I was getting it, like, established and just figuring out orders of operation. And then when I had something that I was kind of like, oh, check it out, when I had something to show people, it felt like that was a better move than opposed to telling everyone, I'm going to do XYZ, just wait and see. because everyone's going to have something to say.
They're all going to have something to say, and people just don't really support you. I hate to say it. I don't like to be negative. I don't like that, but people just don't really,
Yeah.
they don't really support you. Even people that don't mean, they don't know what they're doing, but they definitely don't support you. Like parents,
Yeah.
for example, are classic. They just want what's best for you, but they think that you can't do things. And you're right. Hearing that when you're just trying to start, it's hard. Like I know that I've gone through so many waves of like not wanting to, just knowing that I've got all this knowledge and all this talent, but not knowing what to do with it, and kind of almost just trusting other people too much to mentor me or to do this. Like I firmly believe that surrounding yourselves with mentors or people, but be careful in your selection, I think, because for me,
Yeah.
sometimes people disguise themselves as mentors, but they're not where you want to be. Like you should never listen to people
That's true.
that have never been where you're trying to go. They're just it. I think it's a distraction. I'm starting to notice more and more that it's a distraction. It's here because in life, if you really want something, you have to cut out the distractions. You have to change your lifestyle to, like, you have to act like it's already yours while you're trying to get it. And when you include too many other people in that, it's hard. It triggers people. Some people don't even know why they're so triggered, but it's because like when they were 13, they had a lemonade stand and their dad like told them they were never going to be shit or something. Now they're projecting that onto you. But
yes,
that's great advice, because I think a lot of people, there's so much like self-help and motivational speaking out there, and so often they tell you to fake it, or they tell you just need to start. And I agree, you need to start. I agree, don't let other people see you sweat. Like I agree with that, but prepare, practice. Don't fake it till you make it. Like figure out how to do it and practice, don't just like wing it. Every time I wing it, I still do a good job. I'm blessed to have this.
But it's better with practice.
I'm always upset that I didn't prepare, because I'm like, it would have been way better if I had practiced. Now that I got past the nerves and I got past everything, it's practice. It's knowing what you want to do and crafting it until it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect, but until it's to your liking, until it's what you want. So I love that.
Yeah. And furthermore, being your own cheerleader is so crucial. Like if you don't believe in yourself, that's where you got to start.
Yeah, that's definitely where it starts. Because if you don't actually believe it's going to happen, like it won't happen. You're the one stopping it for sure.
Yeah, you got to find that vision.
Yes.
Go for it.
So on that little tip, now that we opened up that box, what do you do for yourself? Like aside from being a business owner and just your hobbies and things like what do you do to work on your spirit, on you, on your purpose and feeling whole and self-love, I guess you could call it?
Self-love for me these days looks like making sure I'm fueling my body with what I need to show up as the person I want to be. And yeah, that circles back to consumption and just being aware of what we're intaking, and just trying to always treat myself with the utmost respect and honor my body as a vessel for the divine that it is. And sometimes that body wants to just sleep. Sometimes it wants to dance, and yeah, I've been doing a lot of sleeping and dancing lately.
I love that. For like the past week, I think it's been, I have coaches, I have mentors, I have a lot going on. But for me, when I spend my time making playlists and listening to music, I become my best self. I'm like, this is what I like to do. This is what makes me happy. And I was trying so hard because I love to work out. I want to take care of my body. I want to be able to do that. And it does make me feel great, but I went from being at the gym where it's much easier. You go there, you have like a space, there's other people waiting, so you just go, you
Yes.
do what you're coming to do. But trying to do like weightlifting and stuff like that at home, it just loses my interest. Whereas I feel like you're
Yeah.
doing just as good for your body dancing in front of the mirror. And I feel like you're doing some great for your like mindset too, doing that. Because I'm
Right.
like, oh, damn,
Yeah,
like,
you'd be all empowered. You'd be
damn.
like busted moves and
And it just sucks because when you try to do it in public, like, I know guys, like, maybe some of them mean well or whatever, but I just always hate it when I'm like in my vibe and along comes like Peter over here. Let me dance with you. And I'm like, oh, like, I want to be like, I'm like the muse. I don't want anybody to dance with me. Like,
right.
you
Yes.
should dance with me over there. Like, you
Right.
dance over there.
Yeah.
I'll dance over here.
With
And
like a
it's
10-foot distance. That sounds
yes,
great.
like for me, I'm like,
I like that.
I don't know. I just, for me, like, it's just,
I can relate.
I just being in your own solitude and doing it. Like, I love when I love to be out and around other people with the same energy, but it's harder and harder to find. Certain people can hold that space, but you have to be intentional and hold that space and open that space and be
Yeah.
intentional about who you invite. Like, if you're at a club or at a concert or at a Halloween party, like, I probably don't look like I like to dance very much. I got that little face on me, like, that I make when I go in the gas station. I'm like, I'm not nice. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, I'm not nice at all. I'm not friendly. Grr.
I remember one time I was in middle school and this girl walks up to me and we had gone to Elitch's and we're on the bus from Denver to Fort Collins back home, all
Okay.
falling asleep after a long day at Elitch's. And we get back to the school and this girl taps me on the shoulder and she's like, were you giving my sister dirty looks on the bus? I was like, I don't even know how to give a dirty look. What do you mean? Like, what do you do? Like, I was probably tired, but whatever. Like, yeah. What are we doing here? For me, I'm not very good at being, like, I'm learning about boundaries in my 30s. I'm definitely better at setting boundaries, which some people can misconstrue as mean. But I don't think it's mean, but I'm very bad at, like, actually being mean. I'm the kind of person that leaves the situation and feels like crap. Even when they deserved it, I'm like, you shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
it's difficult.
That was great advice. And I love that you said that about dancing because I've just been feeling it too. The same thing with rest. For me, there's always so much to do. We're always on the go, and that's great. Like, we have to do this, but at the same time, if you don't rest, you're not showing up as your, like, best self. You're not doing your best.
You're not working efficiently
at
all.
The burnout, I think, is one of the worst. I think, except for like starting to deal with things with substance, I think being tired is the second worst, like, mind state to be in because you almost, like, don't even know what you're doing. And rest is so important. Like, you just have to reset. People, like, we already don't sleep enough. We're supposed to be sleeping and, like you said, fueling your bodies with what it needs. Like, your body, you don't feel good because you ate McDonald's today. That's why you don't feel good. You don't have some weird disease. You don't have, like, anything wrong with you except for your bad habits. That's what's wrong with you. Nothing else.
Yeah, it's crazy how often that's the case.
Do you do any kind of like when, because food's a whole different category. That's what my last episode was about nutrition. And for me, food is such a hard thing because that's all fake out there. Like, there's so much fake food.
I was just joking about that earlier today. Like,
it's out of control.
Pick your poison. It's in everything.
I started reading labels and
it's impossible.
Some days I have to just be like, all right, we're just going in. We're eating this. We're eating the seedless watermelon because that's all they have. That's all they freaking have. People will argue with me at the grocery store. They're like, I actually like seedless better. And I'm like, yeah, because you're a sheep.
Yeah.
That's why.
Bah, bah, go eat it. No,
Like, it's
no.
supposed to have seeds. Like, kids these
Yeah.
days will see a watermelon with seeds all big. Whoa, I've never seen that. And that's what they looked like when I was a kid. It was just a big old
Yeah.
watermelon. You like spit out the seeds. If you ate one, they told you a watermelon was going to grow in your stomach.
Mm.
Kids these
Mm-hmm.
days don't even know. Like, we couldn't just Google it. Like,
Yeah, I pray for the health of everyone.
me too. You know what I've been doing is I have been using like Reiki, and I've been using my intention when I to like clear it, kind of like you would with sage or whatever you do. I've just been asking for
Oh,
all
you put
the
Reiki on your
impurity.
food.
Yep. Just like you
Oh,
can do it with your
yeah.
water,
Hell yeah.
all that. I've been doing it with my food, and it's really, really been helping with that
Ooh,
whole mindset around like
I love that.
not
Yes.
wanting to eat bad. So I would definitely that, and then just like writing great words on, if I use a plastic water bottle, I'm like, I'm taking this opportunity, and I'll just write
Yeah.
words like health or
Love,
the love, like
mhm,
focus, this, because for
joy.
me,
Yeah.
a lot of it has to do with your intention. That's why some people can eat this fake food and live to be 100, and some people can't, because not everybody realizes the power that your body has to survive through these environmental warfare, really is what it is.
Right. That's so true. And it's crazy to think about someone sitting there eating McDonald's and like affirming in their mind, this is healthy as they're eating the fries. But that would help, theoretically make it slightly better
It would
for
make it
you.
slightly better.
Yeah.
For me, I noticed that so when I very first started this clean eating or trying to do all these things, I was in a different mindset. Like, I used to smoke, I used to do like cigarettes, I used to do all these things, and I would feel so guilty when I wouldn't do it. And it makes it hard to like quit doing something or to change your lifestyle when you're operating in those negative emotions and those negative mindsets.
That's true.
Now, I don't even
That's true.
think about that stuff. So when people tell me, "Oh, you have no idea how addicting it is," or "You have no idea," I actually really do have an idea. I really do understand like what it is, but it's your mindset and your intention behind it. And if you just tweak your mindset a little bit and go into things with intention, it's crazy how it warps so much, and you just realize, oh, like, I'm
Yeah.
fine. We're gonna be just fine, even with all this fake food.
Even with the fake food, we're gonna be okay.
I've gone down all the rabbit holes. Like, 2020 just really took who I used to be
Ooh,
and let me know that, like, I do know what I'm talking about. I do know that, like, this
you're
is
not
real. I'm
crazy.
not
We're
crazy
not crazy.
at all. It showed me. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like, the fact, like, when I saw the alien mummies, when I saw alien mummies pop up on my Facebook, because I don't watch the news, I was like, wow, they're really running out of things, and people are still eating this up.
Yeah, what's the next
Those mummies
distraction?
looked like, I saw one meme that turned them into cake. It's like, it looks so
Oh my
faked.
gosh.
I can't believe anybody is into
Yeah.
this. Like, I'll never forget the time my son comes to me. He had just been watching Juice and all the Tupac movies and crying, and I kept telling him, I told you you weren't old enough to watch this stuff. He's like, but
Aw.
he's all his friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're gonna
Aw.
be okay. But he comes to me and he's like, Mom, I saw on YouTube that Tupac's still alive. And I believe it, Mom. I saw it. It's really him. And I was, son, if Tupac was alive, the amount of money that he would be able, like, he's not alive. I'm sorry, but he was so, it's just crazy what TV and like what people believe, you know. Thank goodness he's a little bit grown up now and not arguing with me about Tupac being alive.
He's learning about the conspiracies as well.
Yes, I
How
even tried to
cute.
homeschool him, and he hated it. That was the worst year. He was like, Mom, no, I'm not gonna do this. but like we just need to get you to pass. Like, don't listen to
Aw,
what they're teaching you, because
that's so funny.
they're just not teaching you life skills. Like, whatever, that's a whole different conversation, because we literally,
We'll do that next
it was
episode.
so easy to talk with you in this beautiful, beautiful space. So tell us, before I forget, we need to drop your, like, how to find your crystal shop, how to find you and your beautiful gems.
Karmic Wares is available on Instagram, on Facebook, and at karmicwares.com.
Karmicwares.com. She's like, I got that.com.
Yes, karmicwares.com. And yeah, I really enjoy hosting live sales on Instagram and connecting with my customers that way. And yeah, I invite everyone to join us for those
I love that.
little
Karmic
get-togethers.
Wares.
Yes.
I love that. How did you get, before we wrap up, I want to know how you got this name.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always wondered.
Yeah, I think it goes to the intention I had when founding my business, which was all upon the basis of creating positive, like karmic transactions and leaving a positive karmic footprint. And it's basically the idea that both both parties on the end of the transaction will be uplifted in some way, energetically. And yeah, it's,
I'm glad I asked, because that was an
yeah.
awesome. I try to explain that to people when we are talking about the exchange of money, and when you're coaching people through sales, or asking for what they're worth. It's like, it's an exchange of energy. Yes, it's money, but you're exchanging it for this. So I like that you tied it even a little bit higher to that karmic footprint that you're leaving, because
Right.
it's, so many people are just not, they don't think about
Yeah.
that stuff, and it's important. We are not here to drive
Right.
that fancy car. We are not here for that. And when we leave here, that's what matters, is that karmic footprint.
Yeah, and it also touches base on the ethically sourced nature of our crystals.
Oh,
Yeah, that's also important to me.
I love that. I love that. Yes, because when you
No
get,
blood diamonds here.
yes,
None of that.
I love it so much. Oh, this was such a great interview. Thank you
Aw.
so much for joining me and for sharing your beautiful business with me and your experiences. Any last words before I wrap up?
It's been an honor and a pleasure, Gabby. Have me back again soon.
Yes, we'll pick a fun topic next time. Now that
Yay.
we've got the intro. Well, as always, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Stay fly.